We didn't get the demo last week, right? We just talked about it or saw the PR. Maybe we saw the PR and the GIFs. Talked about 1.0 a little bit. So today, demos. Dean. Dean. Didn't show up. Anyone else? Nothing. Oh,
I have added some permissions if you want to demo that, but it's like, yeah.
Let's see what you did. I saw the PR, right? It's the PR.
It's list content.
Yeah,
it's the list content stuff.
Yeah. Hence, topics. We'll see if you have any questions. Subjects of concern and status. Orchard 1. There were some stuff because I saw the CI working. Why can't I see that there? So on this one, add FromName and ReplyTo properties to SmtpSettingsPart. So I run adding a new feature. So now there is there was a from address, and now there is also a from name from SMTP settings that we call email settings in OrchardCore, and also a ReplyTo property. And there is another one that I discovered on this PR, which is the unsubscribe URL. And if you provide this value, then and you send an email from a list of emails, then you can define what's the URL that the email client should use if it provides an unsubscribe link. So for instance, in Gmail, when you receive an email from a list, you can opt out, and it will you just click unsubscribe and it will find this email automatically. So let me see this one. So this is just address got split into from address, from name, and then there is a new one, which is the list unsubscribe. So that's it on Orchard 1. OrchardCore stuff. This one, fix the parameters conversion from Newtonsoft.Json.Linq.JArray to System.Boolean failed. So apparently a serialization issue for a specific type. Use validating handlers for content display manager. Validating handlers for content display manager. So this is a new API that was added by Dean, the validate async. Mostly for APIs. And here the change is to move the logic that was in the driver to this API. So here we have model state, errors. So is it breaking? It's not breaking the localization file. It's removing some entries and it's reusing the same logic in this case, so this is fine. Context validate async. So here, this is totally different, however. Because we had some checks for duplicate values, and I don't see the check anymore. And that's why we didn't use the validate from the handler all the time, because there are two different contexts and some checks don't apply everywhere. So let's see. So now the content validation handler returns a bit of validation results because it was not made for that usage, so it has that change, which can be discussed. What is this one? And now the content display manager will resolve the part handler, which you didn't have to do before. Okay. New extension method into it. Helper method to convert all the validation results and to move them to the model state. So let's see who validated this PR. This is I can just click there actually. It's an old one. So that's what I said exactly. Okay. Yes. For this reason, we don't call the UI driver from an API call. So that. So I don't want to say something that is wrong, but from what I saw is that so this code is the same. No, well, I didn't check this one actually. Yeah, I checked it. It was the same. So let's see. Is alias unique? So maybe I missed it. For the other route, here validate async path. Put this one here. Possible conflict. This can. So this is checking for conflicts. Your permalink is already used. And here, okay, it's also checked there. Fail. So this won't work. It can be null because it's a params. So someone who doesn't pass anything, this will be null. And same thing here. If you call fail without anything, this will be null. So fail here might break completely. And this one, if you don't pass anything, should be null. So there will be an error of exception also here. Content part under resolver, content item display manager. Validate async. So now it's a method on content item display manager, and it's invoking it this way. So it's an explicit call. We'll see. Any that by trying to reuse too much code, we'll fail to see when the code should be actually different. And if it happens to be the same, we are lucky, but it should not be the same. And sometimes just copying the code is much better than trying to reuse stuff. We'll see. And also coupling now between the handlers and the display driver. Is that an issue? I'll comment on the PR. Update .NET Core upgrade to 3.19, which is a security release. SDK to 3.143. Travis and Abeyor, but for Abeyor it's not required because it will be installed in the image. And 3.19 here. Admin UI permission. So this is what Jasmine mentioned. Oh yeah, this is it's not what you mentioned. We merged the other one some time ago. Here is just changing the name because the English didn't make sense, right?
Yeah, just renaming.
Okay. And same thing for this one. Well, I see. I remember. Yeah, we saw the PR and then we commented on the names. So yeah, same thing for this one. The permission is list content. Okay, thank you for changing that. So list content. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's easier to remember that name than the other one.
Also. Oh, this one. I was confused also. For this encoding. So this one is to fix an issue with encoding in the RSS feeds. So apparently it was double encoded. So here the description, and I thought about like what does the description. So this description is a tag, an XML tag, and in an RSS feed for like a blog post, this thing will contain the body in our case. So what we were doing was that if there is a body, we were generating a CDATA section and calling toString on that, okay? But body aspect dot body, what is body aspect dot body? We check. It's always tricky to get encoding right. So body aspect, this one, it's an HTML content. Okay. So whenever you do a toString on that, you will get something encoded, and that's the issue. So when we do that, we get an encoded set of chars. I mean HTML encoded. So you don't get. So if there is a p tag, you will get %lt and %gt. So it will be encoded. Okay. And then we pass it as a string, which is already encoded. But the issue is that everything here will be also encoded. So there might be some double encoding issue. Okay. So now the solution is to use an X CDATA, which I assume won't be encoded because it might implement an interface that tells the X element here to not encode it. Actually, because here we add an element, this element won't be encoded, so I assume this X data won't be encoded because this one will already be encoded. So I assume, I hope, I expect the X data to not encode what we pass to it and to not be encoded by where we pass it to. So I didn't know about this one. C#.
There's another PR because there was a second double encoding done there.
So here we can pass a string. What does it do? This CDATA sectional special derives some X text which represent XML text. Okay, so that will mean that anything when we pass an X CDATA to something, it won't be encoding. That's good. So some content. They could have used a better example, like some XML content here to see if it's encoded or not. It's kind of sad. What namespace is that? System.Boolean. Try.net. This is awesome. Okay, so can we do that? Var new xCData some and okay, let's say that we pass something that is not encoded. So here what they say is that console, okay, we'll do that also. Cell element then they do console write line root. Run. No, is that here? No, it was right. But it run. Where is the run button? Run. XML. So this is not encoded, which is good. Which means in our case, when we do, so where is, for instance, where is our code? HTML content. And look at how beautiful it is. This is a new feature in GitHub. But here it's in ASP.NET, so I want to know in which namespace. This one. It might not work. Might need a reference to it. Yeah, okay, so sad. But I know that it will be encoded. So what we do in this case is lesser than, greater than, and we should have the same behavior, not double encoded. Okay, so that's good. CDATA. Is that what we want actually? Because it's a CDATA section. Now I'm confused. It's a CDATA section. So because it's CDATA, it means we can have encoded stuff, non-encoded stuff. That's the goal of the CDATA. So now I'm confused actually by the toString. Or is it actually not encoded because it's HTML content? Probably that's the opposite. Because it assumes it's already encoded. Yes, okay, maybe that's it. Maybe it's one the toString. Yeah, no, I'm confused with Razor. In Razor, if you try to Yes, that's it. It's in Razor. In Razor, if you try to do at and an HTML content, it won't encode it because it says, oh, it's already safe. It's like HTML thing that you save. It's safe HTML. Okay, you don't need to encode it. It's HTML. So I assume that's the thing here. So before that, because it was not an XCData object, the fact that we were assigning it to an element, it was encoded it to be safe, but now we say XCData, so it says it knows that it's XML data, so it won't try to encode it. Okay, so that makes sense. I think it's important to understand what's happening there when there is encoding, because otherwise we'll get issues, maybe also security issues. And so this was the description element, and here it's the add property context builder. I don't know which one is this one. So here we are explicitly encoding the display text. What is builder add property context? Maybe this is for the WordPress stuff. Probably. Okay, list feed query. Same thing here. Helper method. This one takes the next element directly now. And some unit test. This is not equal. Sure, if it's equal to that, which is what you expect, it's not equal to that definitely. And if I put foobar, I can tell you it's not equal to that either. So it doesn't tell us anything. I mean, at least it shows that this is something that we don't want to see, but yeah. I get it, it's kind of useless, but a comment will be as useful. Okay, good job, thanks Hisham. So distributed cache, which we merged finally, probably after a year of work. Not of work, but of waiting to be merged. So there are new services. The main two new services are, where are they? iDocument and iFile something. iDocument as an identifier, but that's not what I want. iDocument store and iFile document store. So whenever you want to get some cacheable document, as in a document that is stored in the storage, in the store, in SQL, for instance. So whenever you want a document that can be cached, you use this service, iDocument store. And iDocument store will use SQL to load the document, but will be able to cache it. So for instance, content type definitions, for instance, well, it's not a good example. The site settings, you will do iDocument store to get the site settings because it's stored as a document and we want to cache it. And then when you load the site settings using iDocument store by passing the type, you can say get or create immutable or mutable. Mutable meaning that when you load the site settings just to read it, you want to say I want an immutable object. And when you want to load the site settings to update it, then use a mutable one. And the difference is in the way that it will in the way it will cache it or not. And also, will it take it from the cache or not, or put it back on the cache or not, or invalidate the entry in the cache because you asked for a mutable property. Okay, then you can call update, cancel, and also subscribe to when the object was successfully stored or when there was a failure. Okay, so that's the new interface to manipulate documents that can be cached, mutable or immutable. It's also important in case of performance, because if it's immutable, we can always reuse the same instance from the cache. If it's mutable, we need to clone the instance from the cache or give you a non-cached value that can be then stored later. Okay, so that's important. So there is the iDocument store, and then there is the iFile document store, which has the same methods as the iDocument store, but is a totally different service for totally different reasons. This one is when we want to store something on the file system, a document on the file system that can also be cached or not. But it's a different store. So you don't want to store in database, you want to store in the file system. But it will provide the same semantics for immutability and mutability for the cache. Okay. So for instance, when the content type definition that stores in the file system wants to store things, it uses the iFile document store. And then we can cache it or not. And if we want to use the feature that stores the content type definition database, this feature will use the iDocument store instead. Okay. So this one is not meant to replace any iDocument store to store any document in the file system. No. This one is when you have decided to store in the file system, use this one. Very important distinction. We merged it now because we want to see if people find issues with it. Has anyone found issues since then? 5 days? I didn't see any issue file related to that, which is good so far. And it's not using message pack anymore to store the cached entries in memory, because and it's also able to, so why it's there also, it's because it will support multi-layer cache levels. So if you have a Redis distributed cache, for instance, it will be able to store in Redis and store in memory and propagate the changes. So this way we can just load items from the memory or ask and piggyback on Redis if it has to be shared across nodes. That's also why it's there, this service. So very nice. And I was talking about the message pack, which was not used because there are some types it could not store, so we could not use it. So I think it's using JSON.NET by default. Okay. Prevents distributed cache network contention. Related to the PR we just saw. Missing assembly name in module target. Okay. Edit button for list in DetailAdmin. So the idea is that something that was already there in Orchard 1. When you have, so there is in Orchard, when you want to display something in the admin, there is usually want to edit something. So there is in the handler, the content item handler, you can return the link to the controller or the routes to the controller that will edit an entity or that will display it as a list or display it as a detail object in the admin. And when you have a list, you have two options. Either you want in the admin to show all the content of this list, or you want to actually edit the list itself. And to do that, when you see a blog and you click the link of the blog in the content items, it will go to the list of the blog post. This is the DetailAdmin. And if you want to actually edit the blog, you need to click the edit button. It's not obvious. So this one has a new button that is called edit for the list, such that you are not confused anymore with clicking the link or clicking the edit button, the properties button, something like that. So this is a new edit button to prevent this confusion, because you never know how to edit a list. You click on it and you will see the list, but it's not obvious that you have to. So what's the current button there then? Or maybe we need to click on properties or something like this, and now it's called edit. There is an edit also. Or it's a bigger button at the top of the blog, maybe.
Yeah, it allows to edit the blog details itself, or the list parent content item. Because you needed to go back to the content items list to be able to edit like a blog, for example. Yeah.
Media library improve localization. Okay, so using custom tags, I assume. Media library for translation. Oh, it's giving it an ID, so it can also reuse the value that is inside. Okay. And this is what it's doing there. Getting this link and the text from it. Okay. Fix FlowPart styles. Fixing styles. jQuery package version. Okay. Lucene Indexation with LocalizationPart issue. Still some comments going on. That's weird.
Yeah, it's the one that needs the culture aspect.
Root packages, what is that? Updated packages. Why root packages?
Because this is the package.json root folder in the root folder.
Okay. CMS web, so removing that. I didn't understand why, but Chantier said it was good. And it's our CSproj, so I don't get why we should change it to not impact users. It's weird. But as long as our app works, I'm fine with that. I would have been more worried if it was in the templates. Script master, contributor, mkdocs, new version. It's a big jump. Generate display for link using URL in PreviewPart. What does it mean? What does this arrow mean? Did it move? Content management abstraction. Okay. It moved. That's weird. What does it mean? If preview URL starts with slash, then with, oh, okay, tilde slash, okay. Otherwise, okay. Content link tab. That's weird. So here, this method here, display for, I assume it's to generate the link to a content item, to view it. And what it's doing is that it's actually asking, is there a preview for that? Or what's the preview link for that? So I assume that instead of using the controller to render the draft, we are asking for the preview. Why? Maybe for custom types, I would say maybe that's for that. Maybe for Razor pages, for instance, that are, maybe that's it. I would assume that's for that. To be able to generate display links for custom pages. It's a P1 for 10. Must be important. Configure the preview features. Yes. Okay. But there is no preview part, that list of content part. View. Oh, that's the view. Okay, that's this one. So preview was working, but the view button was pointing to this one, which was not using the correct. Okay. Okay, I get it now. So this is saying when you want to view it, and there is a preview part, then just use the preview URL. Okay. New Bootstrap version. FlowPart missing style for first dropdown, and again changes on the FlowPart. It has to be good. Media profiles video for doc, great. So now it's pointing to the demo that Dean made for media profiles. Nuget package updates. Same thing for GraphQL dependencies. Icon size and alignment when menus collapsed. Oh boy. So many changes. I know there were issues. Remove extra closed divs in the admin theme. Okay. You found it. Okay. Improve, create a website guide. Oh, David Aiden is back. Okay. Everything is good in this guide. It's the best guide ever. Why would you want to change it? Open a browser on. Yeah, I'm not. That's why people should read the stuff I write. It's not always good. That contains a list of features. What did I say? Recipes contain. Oh, it's not even English. Okay. Thank you. Fill the form. Yeah, that's what I say. Complete the setup form. So it's so nice. Good. But that means he reads that. That's good. David Aiden as a contributor. What? There are more. Font awesome. Okay. Remove incorrect permissions. Check on DetailAdmin menu. Okay. Fix in Sitemap extended namespace for multilingual site. Okay. Multilingual sites. There was a bug apparently. The schema was wrong. That's great. That's good that the contributor finds the issue and solves it. I like it. Fix typo. Content item. Ooh, what is that? Wrong field in content item index max length. Ah, so sad. Content item, is that for, it's not for Lucene, right? It's for the item index. Ah. So the index was wrong? Or empty? That's weird. Contributor, PagerShape and Course rel attributes for SEO. Okay, pagers. No follow. Yeah, that's good. I like it. If no follow.
Yeah, I added this condition everywhere, but I also changed the default rel attribute, which now uses previous index for the previous index button, and if you're on the current page, then it's going to use canonical.
But what is no follow?
No follow just tells the
That's it.
The crawler, yeah, it tells the robot to not go on the anchor or button that you. So it blocks the robot.
That's weird to put it there. I would just explain how to change pager link item.
Yeah, but they are separated. We have different links there. So we have the previous, we have the first page, last page, and they all have a different attribute to be set.
So you just do that on the next and the previous?
By default, if you go down. Yeah, previous. If you go down, I set it on the next and previous, and the current page.
First and last, okay.
Yeah. So I'm just looking if someone has passed the no follow attribute on the rel attribute, no follow value on the rel attribute.
Yeah, my only concern is that by doing that, I'm afraid next time we want to have, there is also something specific that can be done on the pager items, then we'll add yet another parameter and handle too many things.
Yeah,
Instead
this
of putting
is,
it in template.
yeah, I made it really fix it like that because I wanted to, yeah, we could have passed like attributes and do something more generic for these, but.
And you also added these things here.
Yeah, this is the default that will get applied for every pager that we have right now.
Okay, so if I go on a well-known website with a pager, what could I use? A well-known website with a pager. What website has a pager?
Google has one, but I'm not sure.
Good idea.
Yeah, but they don't have a, yeah.
They have a pager.
Yeah, they have a pager, but
So,
are they using nofollow? it's a search engine, yeah.
The rel attribute. It's on the A tag, right? And they don't have a rel attribute.
No, they don't have, because probably they have one in the header of the page. You can do both. You can set it directly on the anchor or use it like on the link link tag on the header of the page.
What does Drupal do? Or did like 15 years ago? Okay, first, prev, next, last. Because there were first, prev, next, last.
I didn't know that there was first and last link.
So you can do that.
Yeah, we could add that.
Well, maybe it's not. It was a long time ago. Maybe it has changed. I don't know.
Yeah. But the issue is that Google stopped using those. So everyone used a nofollow.
Maybe for accessibility.
Yeah.
Might be interesting for accessibility. So. Okay, maybe so. Yeah, maybe look at what the pager should have and pager attribute. Not allowed for A. So not allowed. Good. You can't use that. Yeah, so apparently the canonical rel should just be used for link in the meta tags. And
yeah, this is what, yeah, they say that, but it's, yeah, you know,
well,
you have a different opinion everywhere.
But
for
no,
this.
I know, I agree. I mean, canonical.
Because I use it for my website and it cleaned up everything, so it works.
What do you mean it cleaned up everything?
Because we were, the robot was passing on every page of our search pages, so we wanted to remove that.
But in a pager as well, maybe it should be done in a meta tag once, and that would also have worked, but the correct way. What I'm saying is that maybe every content item, every page should define the canonical link.
Yeah, but we could have like multiple pager in the same page, and This is why I want. Yeah, this is why I wanted to set it.
That's what I'm saying. So not put it on the pager, because if you can have multiple pagers, then another reason not to have it on the pager. Just have it once in the metadata. And this way, the next time it goes on a different page or different URL and it finds the same canonical URL, then it will say, I don't have to call it because so I already have it.
But if you have two different lists, what will you add in the metadata both, or?
Two different lists.
Yeah,
no, I mean the page is the page metadata. A single page, a single link. Not read. So.
But if you have two different lists with two different pages that points to two different places, then you will end up needing two different links for the previous.
Okay, I don't get now what you call canonical then.
Canonical is the current page you are in, so it just says you are in that page.
That's what you think it says?
Yeah.
No, it says preferred URL for the current document. So this is what I mean. When you have a link and it says canonical, it means this link is the URL of this document. That's what it says. So even if you come from a different URL, you just say, hey, you should have come to this document by using this example. If you do an Orchard site /content items / for something like that, okay, you will get the content items ID there. But when it's rendered, it should render an A link with rel canonical somewhere that says no. It should be /blog post /my post. This is the canonical URL that should have come to this content item. That's what it says. That's what the canonical means. The preferred URL for the current document. In case you can come to this document from different URLs. And even if you can come only from one URL, you just set it to say, this is the link of the document. So I don't see why it's rated to a pager. And that's why maybe, yeah. And it's always used with the link tag in the metadata section, in the header.
Yeah, let's look at another example in another page that team posted on the issue. This is where I found those things they were saying about using those tags. He's not there though, but yeah, we could look at that later on. If we don't want to have this PR, I can revert to.
About the mic, this is the old microphone I'm using. That was already buzzing, I know, so I will. Next time I'll use a different one. So you don't have the link? Did you share the link? Or?
Oh, it's on the issue. You need to go on the PR. And,
yeah, we can check offline, but
yeah, it's going to take more.
That's what I thought, but it's displayed. It's MDN, dude. It's the best, right? They are right.
Not all the time.
Okay, but
yeah.
most.
Yeah, because I mean, Google used their own thing. I mean, everyone used their own thing. So.
Found in the head element. Boom.
Yeah.
It's from Shopify. The preferred URL. So yeah, I mean, pretty sure I'm right because Shopify is right and MDN also is agreeing. So maybe someone else is wrong and you took this as an example, but. So I think that I think that's wrong. Next. Log default registration. Okay. Probably to get the same instance whether you resolve local lock or iLock. Interesting. Unused using huge code cleanup. Well, just some using.
Yeah, it's usings and if the spaces and.
Did you use a tool for that? There is a
yeah.
Good.
Visual Studio has one. I just applied like
I think I see
the
that.
analyzer thing. Yeah.
Yeah. There is with the .NET tool you can add it in your CI steps to verify. Add list content permission. So this is the list content as content type dynamic permission. Interesting.
It has the list content permission on every content type now, so you can define it per content type. And I adjusted the SQL query that we do on the content item list to reflect that. Yeah.
Okay, we talked about it. And I don't like it. That is wrong. I don't know what it's doing, but it looks wrong. So that's
So what should we look against then for the outer? If it's
no, that's the issue. That can we query the permissions, or should it be the handler to tell the permissions? And also, do we do it every time we display something in a list? I need to take a look at that to understand what it means. I need to take a look at that. I will take a look at that offline. Make feature actions sticky while scrolling. Features. Actions sticky while scrolling. Sticky, what does it mean?
Yeah, Isham had added move to top button, so it was just displaying on top of every other content item. So we just I asked him to look at GitHub how they do that. So he just made a sticky instead. So I think it's better. I mean, GitHub does that.
And it applies just for this page?
Yeah, just for this page. Because yeah, the button was appearing on top of the other buttons there, the move to top button, and it was kind of awkward.
So no more top button?
I mean, GitHub doesn't need that.
No, I mean, it's just a question. The top button disappeared?
Yeah, we removed the
okay.
top button. Yeah.
And then instead, because the top button was to be able to show that.
Yeah, this is the only reason, because people want to be able to click on the buttons without needing to scroll up and down.
Oh, the bulk action. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And there is no risk that it can't work in some browser or resizing the page. It works. It's Bootstrap. Standard. Yeah. Okay. Move feeds to feature. So, okay. To do move to feature, now it's in a feature. Okay. So there is a new feature. There is a new feature. So people will need to enable it if they want the feeds now. Okay. ResetPassword Localizer. Okay, I see. So you don't get the correct strings, otherwise generate XML. So yeah, I talked about it this morning with Dean. I discovered, so I don't know who talked about it. It was not working. And I tried it on SQL and it works also. Yeah. So you don't get, so whatever documentation we put on the files, they were not available. Because if you don't put this tag, then it's not generated in the XML file that contains all documentation, and then it's not embedded into Nuget, and then Visual Studio won't load it. So you need that to be able to export your API docs. Not even to generate documentation, just to be able to have it in the Nuget package for IntelliSense. And then if you don't do this, no one, every public member that doesn't have API doc will fail the build. So it's doing that just to ignore the public members that don't have documentation. So we can still do that as we want to document every API. Or we can uncomment that. We can comment that to see what's missing. But even if we have it, what is nice is that whatever documentation that is already set will be checked for validity. Like if you have a typo in the summary tag, it will tell you. Or if you are missing if you started to document one argument, it will tell you, hey, you also missed this argument then. So either you don't document arguments or you document them all. So that's nice. So even with that, it will tell us if something is wrongly done, if it's done. But if it's not done, it won't tell you like it's bad. So I like it. And so that, and you see, for instance, one param was there, but this one was missing. So it was saying, so that's good. Good job. So we should have now IntelliSense in the APIs. It's crazy that it's not done automatically. We've never done that. Crazy. And I already started to do that on my libraries also. So that's good, very good. So people will have more documentation when they use the Nuget packages to build sites. That's great. Okay, questions, comments? We won't see your new permission, Jasmine, another time.
It's fine.
And I will use a different headset. I forgot that this one was making a buzzing sound. Now I remember. So the demo, OpenID Connect Authorization Code Flow, great. So next week, William, it would be great.
Sure, I can do that. Did you want to demo all of them or just the Blazor?
That means multiple demo. Okay, let me see. OpenID Connect Authorization Code Flow. Great for Blazor, Wasm, React, Vue.js, Angular. I think it should be the same for everything, but Blazor Wasm will be great then, just to keep focused on .NET. So connect authorization code flow. So yeah, Blazor Wasm, just to show us how you do that. I assume it's the same thing on the server side for React, Vue.js, and Angular after that. It's just different implementation, and these are just specific implementation, so I don't think we care much.
And what's interesting is there's a library, a JavaScript library called OIDC Client.js, and all of them use that client library, including Blazor WebAssembly.
That's great. Good. So we'll see that next week then. Thank you. All good. Questions, comments? No hands raised. Thanks, everyone. See you on Thursday for triage and next Tuesday. Bye-bye.